some of you will not draft rookies because, hey, they've never played in the NFL and they need to prove it first. But you're missing out on a massive edge, especially when it comes to rookie running backs. Just look at last year. Kenneth Walker, Tyler Algier helped teams win championships. Dameon Pierce was very good prior to his injury. Breece Hall would have smashed had he not torn his ACL. Rookie running backs is one of the biggest edges that still exists in fantasy football, and if you're not taking advantage of it, you're missing out. So let's talk about some rookie running backs that I really like this year that I think can help you win your league. Now quickly, before I get into that, I gotta remind you once again, flockfantasy.com/endgame is where you need to be this fantasy season. If you play Dynasty, we have courses to help you in your startup and your rookie drafts. If you play Redraft, we're gonna have a course to help you crush your season-long drafts. Also, we're going to be here to help you all season long. Waiver wire, live streams to help you set your lineups, rankings, everything you need to dominate all of your leagues this year. Check it out, flockfantasy.com/endgame. 30% off any subscription if you sign up now. All right, let's start with Devon Achane, a guy I did not think I would care about at all this season because he's tiny, and tiny running backs rarely work out in the NFL. And if you hear me talk, I talk about size at running back all the time because it is so important. But he landed in arguably the one spot where I can overlook the size, and that is Miami. Because in this offense, he's not going to be asked to handle 15 to 20 touches. He's probably going to get around 10 to 12 touches. And you might be thinking, how is that good for fantasy? Because in this offense, 10 to 12 touches is probably all he'll need because this guy has legit 4.3 speed. He's an absolute burner, and defenses can't worry about the running game. When you got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle there, you've got all that speed at wide receiver. You've got to pick your poison, and most defenses are just going to pick the running game. They're going to do everything they can to stop this passing game, and the running lane is going to have wide open lanes. And we saw this last year as well. Here you see the breakaway run rates for both Raheem Mostert on the top and Jeff Wilson on the bottom. You can see here, Raheem Mostert, 22nd in breakaway run rate, 20th in breakaway runs, and he only runs like a 4.4. He's not even as fast as Achane. And about Jeff Wilson, who only ran like a 4.6 40, 9th in breakaway run rate and 12th in breakaway runs. Because again, defenses are like, hey, if we've got to give up a big run, that's fine. We just don't want Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle taking a catch 60 yards and housing it. So a guy like Achane with his speed, if he only gets 10 to 12 touches in this offense, it's actually okay because at any given time, he could take one of those touches to the house and hit a home run. And when you're drafting him where he's going outside the top 110 players, you're not looking for a running back who's going to be an every week top 5, top 10 running back. If he's your running back 4 or running back 5 and he's able to give you that, week winning home run ability week in and week out, he absolutely will help people win leagues. And if something should happen to Mostert or Jeff Wilson, both guys who have been banged up a lot in their careers, he could then see closer to 15 plus touches, and then he might actually be a top 10 running back. All right, then arguably my favorite rookie running back outside of Bijan Robinson is Kendre Miller. I don't understand why people aren't higher on this guy. He's got the size, so you don't have to worry about that. He was a 3-down back at TCU. He had great college production last year, almost 1,400 yards, 17 touchdowns, and you look and you say, well, he only caught 16 passes. He's not a good pass catcher. No, he's got very good hands. Go watch the tape. Watch some of his catches. He's got good hands. He can run pretty good routes. It's just they didn't use him in that role very often in this offense because they had a guy like Quentin Johnson. They didn't need to dump it off to the running back much, but he can catch passes. And now he lands in arguably one of the best situations for a rookie running back because who is he competing with in New Orleans? Well, we've got 28-year-old Jamal Williams, who's basically just a guy when it comes to running backs. And look, I love Jamal Williams. You got to love him. His personality, such a great guy to root for. But I mean, look at these numbers here. 54th in true yards per carry, 50th in yards per touch, 52nd in juke rate, 38th evaded tackles, 50th in breakaway run rate, 40th in yards created, 55th in yards created per touch. He's nothing special. He's just a very average running back. Yes, he had a bunch of touchdowns last year, but they all came from the 1-yard line behind one of the best offensive lines. It's not like he was ripping off long touchdowns. So who else is Kendre Miller competing with? Well, how about 28-year-old Alvin Kamara, who's probably going to be suspended and is also complete dust. And look, I know you probably don't want to believe me, and you're like, he's not dust. I was saying Zeke was dust last year. Everybody fought back. He's not dust. You're crazy. He's complete dust. Alvin Kamara is showing all the signs of being dust. Number one, he's old. He's 28. Number two, he's had declining production each of the last 2 years. And number three, declining efficiency metrics each of the last 2 years. In fact, take a look at his efficiency last year. And I talked about this in the avoid video if you want to go watch it. But 46 in true yards per carry, 25th in yards per touch, 49th in juke rate, 28th in evaded tackles, 48th in breakaway run rate, 35th in breakaway runs. This is the sign of a declining, aging running back who's getting dusty. Now, maybe Kendre Miller is not the guy week 1. Maybe Alvin Kamara doesn't get suspended. Maybe they don't trust him right away. But similar to Tyler Algier last year, I think he eventually takes over this backfield. He's too talented not to compared to the other guys. And when he does, he's going to be a monster, and he's absolutely going to win championships for teams who are patient with him or who are able to grab him off the waiver wire if he gets dropped. All right, so those two guys have a pretty clear path to touches without injuries or anything like that. But let's talk about a couple other guys that probably are going to need a little help. But if they get it, will absolutely be league winners this year. Let's start with Zach Evans, down around pick 165, now of the LA Rams. Admittedly, he didn't get the draft capital that I'd like, but he checks a lot of boxes for a guy who could be a very good starting running back in the NFL. He's got the size, he's got pretty good vision, he can break tackles. He lacks a little bit in pass catching, so that will always be an issue for him. But this is a guy who we could see, be somebody who gets 15 to 20 carries on a week in, week out basis with decent touchdown upside in this offense if he gets the opportunity. And what's really standing in the way of his opportunity right now? Well, we got Cam Akers, who, sure, I like Cam Akers. He's clearly the starting running back here. But he's not really the beacon of health. I mean, look at this injury history since he's entered the NFL. Rookie year, chest rib separation, missed 2 games. Right at the end of the season, high ankle sprain, missed some games. Then, of course, tore his Achilles, missed the entire season. And then even last year, a shoulder injury. He did finish the game, but he banged up the shoulder. This guy's always getting dinged up, always seems to be missing games. And if he goes down, who's really behind him? Well, it's pretty much just Kyren Williams, who's 194 pounds and 5'9", and is very far from athletic. I mean, look at these athletic scores in the bottom 50th percentile almost across the board. It's not hard to see Zach Evans even being the number 2 running back at some point this year, if not to start the season. And should Akers miss time, which he's missed time pretty much every year of his career, Zach Evans will likely inherit a pretty large workload because he can handle it. So again, another guy you got to be patient with. May not pay off early on, but down the stretch, should something happen to Akers, this is a guy who could be one of those handcuff type running backs who help people win leagues. Then finally, let's go way down to pick 211, Dwayne McBride out of UAB. No, he didn't play at a great college, but man, you watch this guy on film, he looks fantastic. He absolutely looks the part. He's big enough as well. And this guy was an absolute monster in college. Look at that. In 2021, almost 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. Last year, 1,700 yards, 19 touchdowns. He's got the goods. He's got the talent. He just needs the opportunity. And you can say, well, he's in Minnesota. He's behind Dalvin Cook and Alexander Mattison. How is he going to get opportunity? Well, there's a lot of talk that they're going to either A, trade Dalvin Cook, or B, just outright release him because they have to pay him a ton of money this year and they don't really have the room for it, and they don't really need Dalvin Cook anymore. They did pay Alexander Mattison a decent amount of money, so if they do move on from Cook, it's probably going to be Alexander Mattison, but are we really sure Alexander Mattison is built to be a lead running back week in and week out for 17 games? I mean, this is a guy, when you look at his stats, he's never had more than 134 carries. And if you look at the last 2 years, look at those yards per carry numbers, 3.7, 3.8. It's like he's getting worse. There's no guarantee this guy can hold up under an entire NFL season if they're going to count on him to be the lead back if they do move on from Dalvin Cook. So if Dalvin Cook gets released or gets traded, people are going to lose their mind for Alexander Mattison. But don't sleep on Dwayne McBride. I think he's actually more capable of being a workhorse running back than Mattison. And if Mattison starts to wear down or just isn't as productive as the Vikings would like, don't be surprised if McBride is the lead back to finish the season. All right, so that's 4 rookie running backs I think can actually be league-winning running backs for your fantasy team this year. But if you want to see some hidden gems you should also be drafting late, check out this video right here.